Let's get to the Pucylowski Pyramid, though. JP, shall you take us away?
Yeah, we'll start with the teams left off. We have a new team left off. The New York Giants turned it over 5 times against the New Orleans Saints this weekend. Jackson Dart beat the Chargers and then lost to the New Orleans Saints this weekend. They host Philly this weekend, or this Thursday, I should say, on Thursday Night Football. My God, if you look at their schedule going forward as well, just say a prayer for the New York Giants.
That's why I only had them having 2 wins. The schedule is tough.
The next 3 weeks even. Eagles, at the Broncos, at the Eagles.
Nice.
Let's continue 4 more weeks. At the Bears, Packers, at Lions.
You skipped the 49ers.
Hosting the 49ers as well. Like, it's just, say a prayer for New York and Jackson Dart. It's not going to go well, I don't think. That's why I also had the Giants so many low wins, and that's why I also feel really good about my bet for the Giants under 3.5 wins. Screw your Chargers for letting them have one. Otherwise, I'd feel great right now.
Trust me, you are not more upset than I am.
The New York Jets have no wins, so they deserve to be off the tiers. They, I assume that's going to be your question, are officially on graveyard watch.
Okay. I was
going to
ask when they got the guillotine.
If they are to lose this weekend, which this weekend they host the Broncos, or they don't host the Broncos, they're playing in London against the Broncos. If they lose on Sunday morning, they will officially join the graveyard.
Huge.
Which we'll need to make a cool graphic for.
Yeah.
I think we'll make some kind of like tombstone graphic or something.
Put their logo on it.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. So they're officially on graveyard watch. The Miami Dolphins stay where they're at. And the Titans winning against Arizona somehow have officially kept themselves off of graveyard watch for at least one more week. But if they are to lose this week, they'll be on graveyard watch next week because they play at the Raiders this week. So I feel like maybe a chance for Cam Ward to get a second win.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it would be so funny if the Panthers, let's see who the Panthers this week play the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be so funny if the Panthers and Jets both lose. The Jets get put in the graveyard, and then the next week beat the Panthers and pull them down with them.
That would be funny. Yes.
So that'd be a really funny scenario. We'll have to see if that plays out.
Can I just I hate the Dolphins for letting the Panthers somehow win that game
agreed.
and keep them alive. We were very, or me and JP at least, were very low on the Panthers. I don't have to remember what your
I
final
had them
record
winning
prediction
9
was.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
don't
so
feel too good about that
the
right
fact
now.
they somehow get that win just pisses me off
Agreed.
because the Panthers fans aren't right, but they can keep believing that they're right for another week. So that just
we'll
frustrates
go back
me.
and we'll go respond to all those tweets in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll get there. We still got a lot of time left, but that leads us to Tier 7. And speaking of the Panthers rejoined the tiers. This is, I guess.
Someone had to get put there.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Bryce, of course. He has under 200 passing yards in 4 of 5 games, under 155 passing yards in 3 of his 5 games. Rico Dowdle was the reason they won this game. He cooked, but they got picked apart by Tua, and credit to them for making a 17-point comeback. That was kind of the story of the weekend, and they were another one of those. And Eric Collins, the Charlotte Hornets play-by-play commentator, needs to call more NFL games.
That was elite. I saw
was
some people
incredible.
hating on it, but that's just good ball.
It was
I don't
terrific.
understand people who don't want their announcers to be excited. Like, it makes the game so much. People who hate on Gus Johnson,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
I think some people were just like, he did it for every play, not just the big ones. Like, he got too excited too often, but I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he just does it in the right way because
I agree.
he's excited to see something really incredible. There are guys like Joe Tessitore who does it for every play, but he does it in a way where it feels like what the play that just happened won that team the Super Bowl in week 2,
Sure.
2:30 on ABC in a game between Alabama and South Florida.
Yeah.
Like that's how he calls the games. If he's calling a big game, I love Joe Tessitore towards the end of the year, but he does it too much for the small games.
Yeah. And
Eric-
in the NFL, most of the games are big games. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of small games in the NFL.
Sure.
Eric Collins calls Charlotte Hornets games and calls 82 of them in a year.
The only reason people tune in.
So I think he deserves a little bit of a break here and say that, hey, he got to call at least a fun game between the Panthers and the Dolphins this weekend. And he needs to continue. And I hope he does, especially with all the playoff baseball that Fox is having to pull all their commentators for. The Browns stay. Gabriel was good in his debut. It's hard to take them off with the teams that are off. And if he keeps playing like that, honestly, I think it's hard to start Shedeur Sanders. I think it's really hard. 2 touchdowns, no picks, never really put the ball in harm's way. You had a chance to potentially win the game against a decent Vikings team in your first career start. So Dylan Gabriel played well. And I would also like to add, they were so much more fun to watch than without Joe Flacco this Sunday morning. So much more fun. Watching with Joe Flacco was just brutal. Excuse me. The Saints. We beat Jackson Dart. It was kind of a win-win for me. If we beat Jackson Dart, hell yeah. If we lose, we're 0-5, and we're in a great spot for the number 1 overall pick. So it was a win-win for me. I think it's going to be a win-win this weekend as well. If we beat the New England Patriots, then I'm back into the conversation of fight for the playoff Saints, even at 2-4. Because
You got to be at that point. There's no other option.
yeah, via the transitive property, we've beat the best team in the league in the Buffalo Bills. But if we lose, we're 1-5, and we're right back in a good spot for a great draft pick. Forced 5 turnovers together. Rattler's playing really well. The team is together. I can feel that, and I feel that from the locker room videos as well. And surprisingly, but honestly not, playing the young guys because of injuries for the most part is helping this team and the team camaraderie. All the old farts not playing is actually helping this team, and they got a big chance this weekend with the Patriots coming to town. Cardinals dropped to the bottom tier, and my goodness, I really wanted to drop them off, but it was so hard It was so hard to pull one of the other teams up. Like the Giants was the one I was considering keeping. I genuinely speechless. We already went through how they choked that game. They've just invent ways to lose, which I've now said 3 weeks in a row. Man, speechless. That was a tough watch. The Raiders. No. Blamed others on 2 interceptions he had against the Colts this weekend. Maybe, I don't know. He kind of had a fair point, but the last person to blame someone for interceptions was Aaron Rodgers last year with the Jets, and that did not go well. It's just it's not a good look. You have to beat the Titans this weekend. Geno has 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions this year. Genty's finally playing well, but you cannot lose to Brian Callahan this weekend. That is it. I don't know what you do at that point, honestly. But I think then you're in a watch for 2-14 or 2-15 for the Raiders. But I think they're winning this weekend and look at their second win and be well back on their way to maybe sneak into a wild card because 8-9 might do it in the AFC this year. Texans, quiet 2 wins in a row. Honestly, a tough time for a bye week, though. The offense got confidence in the fourth quarter against the Titans where they scored 21 points. And then you cooked the Ravens and that defense, and now you got to sit for a week. It kind of sucks for them. They got 2 quick wins, got back to 2-3. They're getting going, and it's just a bad time for a bye week. They're not really injuries they need to heal from. So hopefully they don't lose all this momentum as they come out of the bye in 2 weeks, but we'll see. Bengals, they added Joe Flacco today. I don't think he saves them. He has 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Jake Browning had 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, so a worse touchdown-interception ratio than a guy who had 8 picks. So maybe he plays better, but this team isn't just a mediocre quarterback away from being a team that makes the playoffs, and that does it for Tier 7. Tier 6, the Steelers drop They had a bye week, so no real update on the team, but I'm just dropping them because of other good teams last week. Full pressure on the Steelers this weekend. You cannot lose to Dylan Gabriel at home off of a bye week. You cannot lose that game. And they had to travel all the way back from London. You cannot lose that game. Steelers are favored by 5.5 right now. Patriots, only up 1 tier. It's a marquee win for the new program. Is Drake May a superstar? Maybe. Is Stephon Diggs back? Maybe. But like I said earlier, let's pump the brakes. If you handle business against the Saints this weekend, then we'll talk next week about moving the Patriots up even further. The Ravens drop all the way down to tier 6. What an ugly, ugly showing this weekend. 7 straight 3-and-outs. They need Lamar back. He's a long shot to play Sunday. Rams are currently a 7.5-point favorite. You're about to be 1-5 and in desperation mode the rest of the season, which is insane for a team that, I don't know, we've kind of felt like could be the number 1 overall seed. I think we all picked the Bills, but we basically had them all at like 13 wins.
We said they were the roster with no weaknesses, and here they are.
Ugly. The Vikings, they were there at. It's a great game-winning drive from Wentz against the Browns defense. 365 yards of offense versus the Browns defense. And I think the big thing, Jordan Addison responds after being suspended for the first quarter by his own team. And he has the game-winning touchdown. So credit to them. J.J. McCarthy might return this week, up in the air, and I think I'm curious to see who they'll start. Carson Wentz did not go 2-0, so I don't think it's a layup to start Wentz. So I imagine McCarthy returns as the quarterback. And then you have 2 teams, the Falcons and the Bears, who both had bye weeks as well, so no real update on them. Hard to move them up or down. For the Falcons, bad time for the Bills to lose and regain focus, and then you got to host them on Monday Night Football. I will be at that game, and I fully expect a Falcons heartbreaking loss to the Bills on Monday Night Football, and I cannot wait to see it in person. For the Bears, we will find out Monday as well if they won the bye week in their Hail Mary rematch. A pivotal game, honestly, for the Bears this season and the Commanders. Speaking of the Commanders, we go to Tier 5, and welcome back to Tier 5, the Washington Commanders. Jaden was great.
Thank you.
He looked great, too. Honestly, was moving well. Bill Krosky Merritt was incredible, breaking tackles. The defense kind of dismantled what we thought was a dangerous passing attack and a good running game. And he took advantage of a big win on the road. You went 1-1 in the 2 big road games, and now you get to come home and host. I feel like you're playing with house money. All the pressures is on the Bears in this game because they have to redeem that game from last year. You're right back, 1 game back from the NFC East lead. So the Commanders are back in a good spot, and they're back on Tier 5. The Cowboys stay where they're at. The offense continues to shine. The defense took advantage of bad Jets pass blocking. CD might be back this week. The things just keep progressing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I defense played well against the Jets, but the Jets are terrible offensively. The Chargers, terrible game. Had to drop them all the way down to Tier 5. They were on Tier 3 last week and had been for the entire season. Commanders had nearly 400 yards of offense. Amarian Hampton's hurt. Herbert has now had 2 straight weeks under 205 passing yards. 4 picks in the last 3 games. And with no Hampton, the running game was already diminishing. I don't think it's going to get much better. They apparently just signed Naheem Hines, who has a chance to play this week, to go along with Hassan Haskins.
You know who else rejoined the squad?
No clue.
Jalen Rieger.
Oh, boy. I don't know about
Things
that.
going well there.
Good luck to the Chargers. The Rams also have to drop. Stafford is playing so well. He's the 2nd best quarterback according to PFF for quarterbacks that started last week. So take Mariota off. Mariota's still the number 1 overall quarterback, but he's only played 2 games. Didn't play last week. The Rams just were not ready to play on Thursday. That showed very early on, losing down 14 immediately. and they have negative home field advantage. I don't think they have home field advantage in really any game they ever play, and it sucks for a team like that to not have that. It's not the team's fault, owner's fault, but it really hurt them clearly, I felt like, on Thursday with all the momentum. San Francisco was 75-25 fans there. So a bad look. The Chiefs have to drop as well, and like I said, the mojo is just weird. Chris Jones not trying on the game-defining play. Mahomes got baited. It made a rookie-level mistake, then ends up in a pick six for Devin Lloyd. Not a great team. Just not a great team. They're a good team, and they've shown flashes of themselves, but they don't play consistent, great football. They play fine, good football throughout an entire game, but just not great football right now. Tier 4. Welcome to Tier 4. 4 different teams. Starting with the Colts, Daniel Jones is 4th in passing yards. Jonathan Taylor is 1st in rushing yards. The defense is 3rd in points per game. It arguably could be moved up higher, this team, and I think I would make the argument potentially for them to be on Tier 3. They've won games by 34, 21, and 25, and another game by 1 against the Broncos. If not for the Adonai Mitchell fumble, they are 5-0. Averaging 34 points per game. And Latu is one of the best-kept secrets in football. Their defensive end from UCLA, he is playing outstanding this year, and not enough people are talking about it because no one watches the Colts. Gear up. You need to start watching them because they are a really good team. The Jaguars join the Colts on Tier 4. Defense has forced now 14 turnovers in 5 games. Devin Lloyd has 4 picks on the season. Travis Etienne is 4th in rushing yards. And they're 4-1 with the lone loss of being scared to Jake Browning and somehow allowing the Bengals to come back in that game. This is a really good team. And we're still kind of waiting for Trevor to get going, throwing the football. He got going with his legs on Monday Night Football, but going forward, we'd like to see more out of Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. And I think we'll get it at some point because that's Liam Cohen, and that's his DNA. He did that with Baker last year through the air. The 49ers also joined Tier 4. This team just finds a way to win. Mac Jones is 3-0. He's throwing it all over the park. If money didn't exist, I would start him going forward. I don't think it's an argument. You look at the 2 Brock Purdy games and the 3 Mac Jones games, albeit against different level of competition, but Mac Jones won a short week. He was hurt. Knee injury did not matter. His limbs were still there, but I don't think he was feeling them. He cooks, beats the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Defensively, Fred Warner is the best player in the league. Not defensively only. He's just the best player in the league. He is incredible, and he's just an engine on that defense that without Nick Bosa is still playing at a really high level. The Broncos also joined Tier 4. Back-to-back weeks where it felt like you found the right things offensively. And with the defense playing as well as it is, if you can just move the ball when needed, like they did on Sunday in the fourth quarter, it's just a really hard team to beat going forward. That brings us to Tier 3. I'm leaving Seattle on Tier 3. For quarterbacks that started last week, Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in football per PFF. The offense is playing so well. A.J. Barner, JSN, the run game. This is just an incredible unit. Sam Darnold on 3rd down has been insane this year. Defense had a bad week, and I expect that to be better going forward. You are 2 better pass protections away from being 5-0. Instead, you're 3-2, and that's kind of the nature of the beast. But Seattle is one of the best teams in football right now, and I don't think anything should be lost from that Buccaneers game this weekend. The Packers, I'm going to move them up to Tier 3, and this is a predictive measure more so than a resume measure. I really wanted to move the Colts up to Tier 3, but I asked myself, if the Packers and Colts played today, who would I think would win the game? I think the Packers would win the game. I think they'd be favored as well. they move up here because the Chargers. This is where the Chargers were. The Chargers were that bad. I'm just gonna say 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys was just their one bad defensive week, like the Seahawks had this weekend. I think they're gonna shut down and destroy the Bengals this Sunday. That is reflected by the Vegas spread. Any guesses on the spread for that game? Bengals in Lambeau this weekend. Joe Flacco gonna start.
11.5.
Sanders?
10.5.
14 is the spread. And it's going up, by the way, as well.
That's crazy.
The Lions move into Tier 3, or they're still in Tier 3, I should say. Number 1 in points per game, 8th in opponent yards per game. So the defense is playing really well at this point in the season. It's just a great team. And they've got a big test this weekend, Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. I think they're going to be up for it. I really think they're going to win that football game, and we'll talk about that in the next show coming up here in a little bit. But they stay on Tier 3. Tier 2, very similar feeling for both of these teams. We'll start with the Eagles. I am not going to overreact. Now, I know I did this last week with the Chargers, but I am not going to overreact. Saquon had 6 carries, quite possibly the lowest in his entire life in a game that he started and finished. This is such a weird team, but I said it 2 weeks ago, or it was actually last week. No further questions, Your Honor. And so I can't question them right now, and I'm going to leave them at Tier 2. The Bills, I'm going to move them down, but I'm not going to overreact. They were never going to go undefeated, point blank. And like I said in my best bets segment last week, it was just a really tough spot and a really tough matchup for them. They played not quite possibly, the worst game they've played this season, turning it over 3 times. Josh Allen was not efficient, but I just don't think that's going to continue going forward. They were going to lose the game at some point, just like the Eagles were, and both of them lost this weekend. So I'm not going to overreact to their 2 losses. They deserve to stay up in Tier 2. But that leads us to Tier 1, which is controversial in nature because one of the teams on Tier 2 has beaten this team. But the Buccaneers, 5 games, 4 game-winning drives. 3 of them have been on the road. The team is nowhere near close to healthy. It does not matter. Baker Mayfield wins football games. They played so well in the run game. They played well against Seattle this weekend. They make the turnovers when they needed to. And Emeka Egbuka, top 10 receiver in the league for sure. Arguments for top 5, top 8. He's just been incredible. And like I said, nowhere near close to healthy. No Bucky Irving. No Mike Evans. 38 points against the Seattle defense on the road. Doesn't matter. Buccaneers are top of the tiers. Top of the pyramid, I should say. That does it for week 5. Any questions?
In my opinion, your best pyramid yet.
Oh, wow.
I love what you've done. Sanders, do you have any issues?
What team dropped from Tier 3 to Tier 6?
No one dropped from Tier 3 to Tier 6.
You had 4 teams move up and 3 teams drop down.
So the
Tell them dropped from Tier 4 to Tier 6.
Yes.
Chargers dropped from Tier 3 to Tier 5.
Oh, okay, cool. That's where the big
that was
jump
the biggest movement of the weekend.
Cool. All right. So Dolphins Jets are on graveyard watch.
Correct.
Um,
Titans are a game away from being on graveyard watch.
I'm gonna put them back up there.
But that is it's
And the Dolphins, I assume, are also a game away.
no, I don't think so yet. They this weekend play. They play the Chargers at home. I don't think they're on graveyard watch because I think they won that Panthers game. In my mind, I'm going to take it as a Panthers win with the way
Sure.
Tua played and the way Darren Waller is playing.
Yeah.
Devon Achane, GOAT.
Darren Waller's playing very well right now. It's crazy.
And they were in the Bills game. They have at least shown a pulse in every one of their games except the Colts game this year. The other teams like the Jets and the Titans have had like multiple just terrible games. So they're not on graveyard watch, not for a little bit. Maybe if they were to lose the next 2 weeks, maybe you put them on graveyard watch. But they've at least shown a pulse. They've been competitive. They're just 1-4.
Sure.
And then this is odd. Baltimore Ravens. Only thing keeping them off, they would be on graveyard watch if not for the fact Lamar Jackson was coming back from injury in a
If
couple
he was
weeks.
done for the year, they're on graveyard watch right now.
Yeah. But the only reason they're not right now is because he's coming back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
How many games do they have to lose before? Because he's out this week in all likelihood, and they play. Who do they play?
I remembered, and now I don't remember.
They play the Rams,
Correct. They host the Rams.
who are
that's
7.5-point favorites. If they fall to 1-5, and Lamar Jackson, how bad could it get before they're?
Well, they'll be 1-5. Then they have the bye week,
Yeah.
and so Lamar will return the following week, and then they're in desperation mode, and I expect them to rattle off some wins. Their defense is so bad that they're going to lose games regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you have to trust Lamar Jackson to go at worst 6-4, and that's 8-9, and you may still make the playoffs. Middle of the pack would be 7-3, and then he could go 8-2 maybe if he plays well enough offensively. I think it's going to help them a ton. Now I don't know if they'll pull it off, but if they were to pull it off and make the playoffs, I think it's going to help them a ton in the playoffs. If they figure out defensively like how they figured it out last year. But I mean, think of their seasons the past few years, besides the one where Lamar was hurt once we got to the postseason and Huntley had to play. They've been cruising the entire season. They've been clearly the best team in the entire season. They were the number 1 overall seed, all of that. And then when they got to the playoffs, they got tight. They didn't perform in the biggest moment because they hadn't been really in those kind of moments throughout the season. They just dominated everyone. Now they'll be in it. Their backs are up against the wall immediately after the bye week.
Yeah.
At 1-5, and it may help them if they were to make the postseason. But I have faith in them still with Lamar, and otherwise they'd be on graveyard watch.
Yeah. And the way their schedule plays out, they've already played the Bills, they've already played the Lions, they've already played the Chiefs, they've already played the Texans. And so down the back 2/3 of your schedule, we're 5 games in. You play the Rams, you play winnable games, Bears, Dolphins, Browns, Jets, Bengals again, Patriots, Steelers. They've got a lot of winnable games left on the schedule because it was so front heavy with the Bills, Lions, and Chiefs. You still have to play the Packers in Lambeau. That will in all likelihood be a loss, barring some second half recovery. And if those two teams played right now, even with a healthy Lamar,
Yeah.
the Packers would be very heavy favorites in that game. So a lot of winnable schedules. I mean, there's a good chance you do only lose 3 more games on this schedule to the Packers, lose one to the Steelers, and maybe lose one to the Vikings or Browns, get upset there. So that puts you at 9-7, right? 3 losses 9-7. That's almost. There's a good chance that puts you in the playoffs. I don't think that. What did you say?
There's got to be.
Thank you. It
you
puts
gotta
you
have
at
another win
10-7.
somewhere.
It put you
Yeah,
at
I was gonna
10-7.
say.
It'd be 3 losses. So
10-7, they'll make the postseason.
10-7. I think you are almost definitely in the playoffs. You said 8-9. I don't think 8-9 is going to get you in the playoffs.
It could.
I mean, I guess has a team below 500.
Yes. I think we had that one year with the wildcard team.
Because also currently, and it could change, the NFC is taking it to the AFC in the kind of cross-division games.
Yeah.
So
But
we've had a playoff team be 7.
I don't think it's not likely at all. It's not.
but that
likely
was
at all,
they were
but
a division champion though.
Yes.
I don't think the Ravens are going to win this division. There is a chance.
You don't
I
think
guess
you don't think they're winning the division?
not the Steelers already.
Who are you picking?
I think right now you have to pick the Steelers.
I don't have to. You might.
I think right now it is not unreasonable to pick the Steelers.
Do you want to know what would you guess the odds are?
Steelers are favored, and then probably the Ravens, and then the Bengals.
The Steelers are not favored to win the
Are
division.
the Ravens favored?
The Ravens are favored to win the division at plus 110, which is just below 50%. The Steelers are plus 115. So just below the Ravens.
The
Bengals
sports books
are in Narnia at plus 1,100.
the sports books
Where are the Browns?
stay the
Are they
course.
there with the Bengals?
Worse, plus 1,700.
They're worse than the Bengals?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That kind of surprises me.
It does
You
not
think Dylan
surprise
Gabriel
me.
is winning the division? Come on now.
I think he's got a better chance than Jake Browning.
Well,
I think
it's
the
Joe
defense
Flacco
is.
now.
I think he's got. I think that defense with Dylan Gabriel on that defense, I would pick. I mean, it doesn't matter.
The pass catchers are historically bad
Yes.
in Cleveland. Isaiah Bond is getting 7 targets.
Yeah.
And he just started playing.
Yeah.
All right, do you have a gripe?
No, I don't have a gripe.
Okay.
I've
I
been-
do have one small one.
Go ahead.
It actually features the Ravens. I would swap them in Texas.
That's fair.
Just because right now there is no Lamar, and Texas just beat up on them. So I would flip them. Not a huge deal. I said it's your best pyramid, but that's
I'm
that.
down with that. I think that's completely fair.